go over with us,
Okay.
clinical seminar thing, and she has a full hour to present. So
Okay,
are
thank
y'all
you.
all free?
Okay, what you have before you
on the 15th.
is
Did you post it in something?
the most important part of what we're going to talk about today, Monday. So this is your study.
Giving
Instead
potluck.
of looking back through the whole PowerPoint thing, you can just study this one page and you'll be good to go for the
Oh,
test
yeah,
question
sorry.
on marketing.
Yes.
Does that work for y'all?
Is he gonna upload this?
No,
And actually, this middle part here is not even in the presentation today, but we are going to talk about it just briefly as we get started. Before I do that, are there any questions at all? For me, or anybody? Comments?
Are you gonna upload this?
Okay, good. So we're talking about marketing, and, you know, marketing is a funny, not funny, that's not the right word. It's a complicated issue for pharmacists. It's complicated for a lot of professionals. Because how do you feel about, for example, a doctor that advertises on a billboard?
Sometimes it's clear
I
my
mean, do you
neighbor
want
is
that
doing the
doctor for
same
yours?
thing.
Is pharmacy the same way? Yet if you see an ad for Kroger doing flu shots, that doesn't offend you, usually. So think about it. There are certain things about healthcare, certain things that, you know, advertising, marketing, sales, promotional stuff, and healthcare, generally we view it in somewhat of a negative way. Not always, but there are some special things that go on in healthcare that I just wanted you to consider. And the things that are on this page in the middle section, I highlight some of the potential difficulties and problems. But if you just think about what's going on with pharmacy and the profession right now, most of them are captured in that. So things like PBMs, reimbursement, provider status, all of that impacts us. And it all impacts whether or not and how we're going to do marketing. Had a conversation with the first years yesterday about a current event that we did. And bottom line was pharmacists getting paid or not getting paid for doing certain pharmacy care process type services. And, you know, somebody in the class says, well, why should we do it if we're not getting paid? So that's exactly what APHA and CPA and all the pharmacy organizations say is that, yeah, we need provider status so we can get paid so that we can do all these services. If you remember anything at all about communications and my time that I spent with you then, is my attitude is we've just got to do the right thing clinically, and then people will recognize the value of it, and the payment will come. So there's two different ways of looking at it. But even so, whether we get provider status or we don't, whether we do clinical services or we don't, those of you who engage the professional aspects of pharmacy practice are going to need to think about how you're going to get the word out, how you're going to let people know what it is you're all about and what you can do. And that's where the marketing comes into play. What I'm going to try to give you in the next, 2 hours basically, not today, but an hour today and an hour Monday, is just an overview of the kinds of things that marketers think about when they're trying to develop a program to let people know what's going on. So we're going to hit some of the high points. And the things that I think are really important, I will point out to you. Most all of them, if not all of them, are on this one page. So, all right? As you look at that, you can probably see that with your young eyes.
No.
This one right here, we're going to talk about more when we talk about developing practice sites, balancing clinical and business roles, because this really gets at the heart of why marketing and healthcare don't go in the same sentence most of the time. It's because we're always trying to balance that. We're trying to balance good clinical practice with making money. And so how do we do that? How do we do that without provider status? How do we do that when CareSource, the new PBM in Georgia Medicaid, shows up in Georgia and says, we'll pay pharmacists $10 to collect the information that they're already supposed to be getting according to over 90 on their patients. And we'll give them $50 extra or $60 extra if they'll do an MTM. And we're not going to make them get registered and signed up and certified in MTM. They can just do it according to what their standards that they were taught in pharmacy school. So there's a lot of things going on and a lot of things we could talk about. But let's focus now on, rather than on the dilemma or the struggle with the balance between clinical and business roles, let's talk about if we decided we wanted to engage some innovative clinical services, innovative clinical thinking, how could we get the word out to folks so that they would know what we do, why it's valuable to them, and why they should shop with us instead of someone else, if you will. Okay. So and this one I do want you to remember, because I'll put this on there and I'll say is it true or false, or it'll be part of a multiple choice thing. What is marketing? Marketing is solving people's problems and making them happy. If you just think about that for a minute. Everything that marketers do is designed to solve a problem. We don't recognize that necessarily as the customer or the consumer. We don't recognize it ahead of time. We realize it once we consume or use the product. So we'll talk a little bit in a couple of minutes about a couple of different examples of that. But if you think about it, just help me gauge where you might be in your thinking. When you buy a drill, what are you buying? Black & Decker electric power tool? So I'm seeing some heads yes and no. I can't see the heads even in Augusta or Savannah or Albany because you're about 2 inches across. But anyway, what would you say if I said you're not buying a power tool, you're buying holes? Because you don't buy a drill to have a power tool necessarily. Some people might use, there's probably somebody that just wants to have power tools because they like them. But you're most likely buying the drill because you need a hole. So that's how you're solving someone's problem. Somebody needs a hole, you're solving their problem. And when you get a really nice hole, any of you ever drill a hole with a drill? I mean, it is kind of a good feeling when you drill a hole, so that makes people happy. We'll talk more about that, but think about marketing as the following. It's figuring out how to solve people's problems and make them happy in doing it. And making them happy can take on lots of different, it could be because your product worked, it could be because it was fun to engage the product, it could be a variety of other reasons as well. All right, so let's talk about something important. How many of you are hungry already? All right, so Chick-fil-A, everybody likes Chick-fil-A, right? Chick-fil-A chicken has cocaine in it or something. That's what keeps us coming back. But what did Chick-fil-A, did Chick-fil-A, are they selling you a chicken sandwich? Yeah, technically. But what are they really selling? The Black & Decker, they're selling you a hole. What's Chick-fil-A selling? Well, yes, I love that. The numbness and the increased heart rate from the cocaine, obviously. But Chick-fil-A is selling you the solution to a problem. You're hungry. You need food, right? You need food. What do you want? You want fast food, or you want Chick-fil-A. That's where we go as a marketer. We're taking you from needing something that satisfies a physiologic or emotional need, from you need food, to you want Chick-fil-A. That's the marketer's goal. You need prednisone, or that's not a good example because it's all generic, but you need an anti-arthritic drug, and we're going to get you to buy Humira. So marketers are taking you down this walk. They're taking you from needs and wants into the zone of demand, which creates market share for whoever the marketer is. Make sense? Chick-fil-A do a pretty good job of that? 6 days a week, right? So how many of you ever thought, oh, Chick-fil-A, and then you realize it's Sunday? Yep. Yep. I use Chick-fil-A because over the years, I've noticed that students seem to have a growing and fond affection for it, which is what has led me to the hypothesis that it contains an addictive substance of some sort. And it could be the sauce, I don't know. Scientists tell me it's the salt level and the fat level that attracts you because those are filling some primal need for calories that we all have. So, does Chick-fil-A do a lot of marketing? Does any of it offend you? No, because now if Chick-fil-A was selling doctor services or pharmacy services, then suddenly we look at it differently. And I want you to set that aside for a little bit today, because my proposition for you is the following. We do not do a good job of getting the word out about what we're all about as pharmacists, and we're going to have to engage, if not overt marketing kind of thinking. It doesn't have to be in-your-face advertising or billboards or TV commercials. If you remember last time, I kind of got down on healthcare advertising. But it can be a philosophy of getting the word out, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So what you typically think of, and this is just, when you think of marketing, you probably think of, car salesmen or advertising, maybe even public relations, or, this week it's about who's going to be the next governor, and there's a lot of marketing going on associated with that. Yellow pages maybe, but there's a lot of different things we think of when we think of marketing. What we don't think of when we think of marketing is we don't think of doctors, and we generally don't think of pharmacists. Maybe pharmacies, but typically not. So here's a definition for you, if you will. The process of exchanging something of value, usually money, for something you need or want. So if I ask you on the test, what definition of marketing, here's all you need to remember. You can jot this down. Marketing is creating value through exchange. End of story. That's what marketing is. It's creating value through exchange. Now, by the end of today or the end of Monday, hopefully you'll understand exactly what that means. But marketers create value by satisfying your need and doing it in a way that makes you happy. And then you'll buy it again. The exchange is when you pay for it. Now, before we talk any more about marketing, how does a healthcare professional make you happy? Because guess what? Every time you go to the doctor or the hospital, you don't come home with a good answer. How can we create value and satisfaction in healthcare? If you think back to first year just a little bit, we talked a lot about patient communication. We talked a lot about how to ensure what our patients know is correct, and if they use their medications correctly, they'll work better, all that kind of stuff. So one of the ways we can create value is by educating our patients, having a well-informed patient. Somebody who knows what to expect isn't going to be surprised by an adverse event that a drug causes. Somebody that knows this drug doesn't solve their problem completely, but just takes away the pain, or takes away the runny nose, or takes away the infection. So when we look at creating value in healthcare, it's a little bit different. You may not get a perfect hole like you do with a Black & Decker drill. It may be slightly different, but we can still do a lot to ensure that our customers, our patients, whatever you want to call them. It's funny, if you're in social work, they'll call them clients. If you're working in the Medicaid program, it's a recipient. If you're in pharmacy, it's a customer or a patient. They're all the same thing. It's the end user. Who's going to be using our product? So how do we make people happy? Well, we do the best we can to make sure they know what to expect, and that that's meeting some need that they have. So if you're in pain, and I sell you a bottle of Zolpidem, Ambien, what did I really sell you? A bottle of pills? Are you getting it yet? What did I really sell you? A good night's sleep? And that's what, by the way, I want you to think about what we do. You're not selling somebody prednisone that reduces their asthma. You're selling somebody easy breathing. You're not selling somebody Ambien. You're selling them a good night's sleep. When you're selling a new mom an antibiotic, a suspension antibiotic for their baby who's got a terrible ear infection and is up all night screaming, you're selling them two things. The baby's getting better, and the mom gets a good night's sleep. So think about it that way. What problem are we really solving? Okay. The stuff you're going to have to do to be a good marketer is going to vary. We'll talk about that as today goes on. But here's just a list. I mean, and you can look at these if you want. But what you're going to do is going to involve a lot of different activities. And what I see when I look out there in the community of pharmacists right now, what are pharmacists doing? I think about people like Terry Forshee, who I've talked about with you all before. Think about Dean Stone and others like that who have run and are running successful pharmacies over the years. And what did they do in terms of marketing? Well, they did yellow pages because you have to. They did a few billboards that were close to their stores to help people find their way. They've done a little bit of radio. They might have dabbled in TV or something like that. But the real things that they do are public relations. They sponsor the local softball team. They buy Girl Scout cookies or let the Girl Scouts work in front of their store when they're selling their cookies. It's involvement in the community, raising the level of awareness that people have, and that's critical, that raising the level of awareness. Sometimes it's free, sometimes it's word of mouth, sometimes you pay for it, but there's just a ton of things that pharmacists can do to raise awareness of a business. Now, when you're talking about a service or something like that, like we're going to do immunizations, we're going to do MTM, we're going to do something else, it's a little harder because there's not a brick and mortar all the time that we can attach to it. So lots of things pharmacists can do, can get engaged in. If you look at the third bullet point there, competing for resources in an organization, I built that one in for those of you who are thinking institutional pharmacy for career choices. What you may not realize is that pharmacy is one of many building blocks within organizations like that. And pharmacists are going to have to compete for resources. They're going to market what they do within the organization to the CEO, the C-suite in general, the CFO, whoever it may be. to get what they need in the pharmacy operation to continue to grow the pharmacy and to be able to hire the right clinical people, the right staff, the right technicians, to have the right software and automation, whatever it may be. But you're going to be competing for resources versus others. And so marketing will even be important in that regard. So what we're trying to accomplish with marketing, and this goes for all marketers, for all products, for all purposes, is what I call top of mind awareness. Let me ask you this. If I said, P3s, where would you go in Athens, Georgia, today, right after class, to buy a bottle of Tylenol? What places would you tell me? Kroger. I heard Kroger. Where else? Publix. What was that? CVS. James. Athens Pharmacy. Very good. We need to look at his audit score before we listen to that comment. That goes back a long time, doesn't it? So, anyway, never mind. So we've got four. We got CVS, Kroger, Publix, and Athens Pharmacy. Do you work at Athens Pharmacy? Okay. Well, you never know. All right. So if I were to let another independent, just one other independent, let me. Village. Okay. So if I go, I don't know who owns Athens Pharmacy by name, but I do know Andy. So we're. All right. Well, we can use Mr. Patel. If I were to go and say to Mr. Patel, I did this exercise in class today, and I asked students where they would go to buy a bottle of Tylenol, and you were number 4 on the list. What do you think his reaction would be? Would he be happy about that? Probably. That's terrible. That's terrible. The problem is that pharmacists are happy with being thought of. What you're trying to do, this is what you want to make a note of. This is what the question will ask. You want to be thought of first and favorably. So those 2 key points. Not just thought of, but thought of first and thought of favorably. That's what creates top of mind awareness. This is a marketing term that is the ultimate, the be all, the end all. It is the statin of marketing lingo. Okay? So we are going to be thought of first, we're going to be thought of favorably. Yeah, Andy's happy to be on the list at all, right? Kroger, Publix, and CVS are very happy because that means whoever gets thought of first gets the purchase, gets the product purchased. Now, that's subject to a couple of things. Number one, it's subject to the fact that you can get to Kroger, or Kroger is convenient from where you are right now, how bad your headache is and how fast you need it. Because I know all of you are economically minded, and if you think of Kroger first, you will go to Kroger, probably try to combine that with another grocery trip, and since there's a ball game, an away game tomorrow, you're going to need supplies for the game, so you're going to go get your Tylenol when you get everything else, right? So Kroger has a little bit of an advantage there. Bottom line, though, being thought of first, being thought of favorably is what gets you business. So how do we get people to think of pharmacists and the pharmacy care process about first and favorably when they need a flu shot, when they need somebody to help with a medication problem that they're having? You think in general people do think of pharmacists first when it's a medicine problem? Or do they call their doctor's office? Patient yesterday was, I think it was yesterday. Say, hang on. Yes, it was yesterday. Patient was on lisinopril, Coreg, a statin, and a diabetic medication. And they broke out in a rash. Would you be concerned? Pretty bad rash, large part of the body. You don't really know when they started all those medicines, but they've been on a lot of them for a while. And the newest addition was, in addition to the lisinopril, was the Coreg. Anybody concerned about that? Do you all have your drug information sources available right now? Because that's what you should be looking up if you're not. Does lisinopril cost Stevens Johnson? Can it? Can Coreg cost Stevens Johnson? Can using them together increase the likelihood of that? So what did the patient do? They called their doctor. And who do they talk to? They talk to somebody at the front desk who says, well, I can get you in to see Dr. Smith, Dr. Jones, week from Thursday, would that be okay? If you have Stevens-Johnson syndrome, how long is it going to take before you're in really bad shape? 24 hours maybe? So what did the patient do? The patient stopped taking all their medicines, their diabetes medicine, their heart medicine, their beta blocker, everything. And they're going to wait to go see their doctor. Instead, the patient goes to the pharmacy. What does the pharmacist tell them? What would you tell them? If you're afraid your patient has Stevens-Johnson, first thing, stop taking the pills. You'd probably tell them to stop taking the lisinopril and the beta blocker, right? And then you would, hopefully they could assess how bad the rash is and then determine whether they need to go to ED or not. Stevens-Johnson, ED work? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so getting back to the point here, how do we get people to think to come to the pharmacy first? And are we equipped to answer their questions, to solve their problem, and make them happy? In this case, the example I just gave you, the patient's going to be very happy because the doctor's going to make them wait a week, in which case they have full-blown TENS or full-blown Stevens-Johnson and be in really, really bad shape. Instead, they came to see the pharmacist, who is the drug expert, and they're going to get them help today, probably, because they're going to end up going to the ED. Now, to be fair to the doctor, when you call the doctor's office, what's the first thing you hear? If this is a life-threatening emergency, hang up and dial 911, right? Problem is, people don't know when it's a life-threatening emergency. So that's why pharmacy can really play a pretty big role. Our problem is, how do we get the word out? How do we make sure that people know that they can come to us when something like that happens? Well, top-of-mind awareness. We have to be thought of first, and we have to be thought of favorably as the drug experts. And our goal with marketers is to create top-of-mind awareness, to reach out to people so that they think of us first, they think of us favorably, and whatever it is we do for them does two things. It solves their problem, and it makes them happy. Now, the happiness part comes later. All right. How do we do this? In marketing, we have one of two orientations. We either have a product or a market orientation. So here's product orientation. I sell pills. I'm going to try to sell as many pills as I can. Do you know anybody that does that? Big box pharmacies kind of focus on volume? Yeah. So independent, maybe Athens Pharmacy is taking a little different slant on that, but I'm sure they're concerned about volume too. But to an independent, the repeat business, the customer loyalty, all these things are important as well. So I have a product, I'm going to sell as much as I can. You're focused on the product. Here's what I've got. I'll make my price good. I'll try to get people into my business. Market orientation is different. A market orientation is where you say, okay, what do my customers need? What am I trying to sell them? How do I get more holds? How do I get more good night's sleep? So you try to create a product that solves some need that customers have. The marketing orientation is the one that really engages the full process of marketing. Yes, you can be a community pharmacist or a chain big box pharmacy or a hospital pharmacist with a product orientation. But what it means is you're just responding to the marketplace based on what's already been determined and established as need. Whereas if you're looking at a marketing orientation, you're going out and figuring out what it is people need. And then how do you meet that need? And when you meet the need, what does that do? It solves someone's problem and makes them happy. So here's some examples. And here's my favorite one, Revlon. A product-oriented definition of Revlon, we sell cosmetics. Market-oriented definition, we sell hopes and dreams. Okay, you see the difference? What about the railroads? We move materials. That's why the railroads have been obsolete for so long and are just barely getting back into vogue. Mainly because of the carbon footprint issue and that railroad cars are much more efficient than tractor-trailer trucks. But the railroads really had some struggling years between the 30s and 1990s. Okay? The idea of rail transportation, I mean, back in the day when you wanted to go to California, that's how you got there. You know, you didn't have planes, trains, and automobiles. You had automobiles, which was impossible. To find a car that could even go that far, or to fly an airplane was impossible. So anyway, Very on us, we move people or we bring people together. Pfizer, we sell medicine, very limited in scope. It's a product-oriented definition to life is our life's work, improving health worldwide. So there's a big difference in the way companies look at themselves when they have a market-oriented definition. What would a market-oriented definition of pharmacy look like or sound like? Something maybe we sell patient health, or something more like Pfizer's, your health is our life's work. Something like that, rather than we sell prescription medication. Bottom line though, a lot of pharmacists look at their businesses and they think of their businesses as if they were selling a bottle of pills, in which case I would give them a quarter, tell them to call their mama to come and get them, and they still have payphones. I haven't seen one in a while, so you can't use that example anymore. But tell them, let them borrow my cell phone and tell them to call their mama to come and get them, because they're looking at pharmacy the wrong way. Marketing within the organization, I think most of you would agree that it's going to be tough within an organization when you're competing with doctors and nurses who are well established. They've got a firm hold on what's going on within healthcare systems. We're the new kids on the block. We're the pharmacist on the bench that's going to be pulled in when they need us. But we've got to make sure that we can play in that arena and that our voices are going to be heard. So that's going to be tough. All right, so here's the technical part of it, the marketing process. And the process itself, I think on the sheet I just gave you a list. I'll put it into a structure for you here. It's a flow. There's two key parts to it. Part of it is figuring out what you can do, what you're capable of. And part of it is actually doing the marketing. So these 4 boxes on the right is the doing part. This is the analysis part. You've all heard of SWOT analysis, I assume. Have you heard of that before? Can you address to talk about that? Dr. May? Talk about SWOT analysis. Let's just be at this pharmacy for a minute. What are the strengths of a business like that? Small, nimble, good management, perhaps. Maybe based on the fact that somebody might work there, they have a great pharmacy intern or something along those lines. Do we subscribe or assign value to those kinds of characteristics in a small independent pharmacy? Great location, whatever it might be. Those are your strengths. What weaknesses? Well, less financial resources than CVS, less buying power. So there's lots of things that might be weaknesses. What are the opportunities and threats that are caused by those strengths and weaknesses, or other business or environment or personal factors? For example, the pharmacist might not be very motivated to engage pharmacy care. Is that a strength or a weakness? Well, it's a weakness. And that creates a threat, and that pharmacy is never going to move to the forefront. So we don't know the answers to all these questions. We can think about it and use examples. But then we have to look at that and say, well, we know what we can do. We know what we're capable of. We know what opportunities lie ahead of us. What are we capable of doing resource-wise? Well, we have no money to advertise. We have no money for this or that or the other. So we're going to be limited versus, hey, we just took out a loan at the bank, or we've got a really good year. We've got plenty of operating revenues. We're going to be able to affect these business opportunities. So the analysis side over your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, and your resources. And that's both personnel, it's physical resources, and it's also motivation. It's whether you're motivated to do these things. And then on the marketing side, we're going to set goals, develop strategies, implement them, evaluate them, and then that constantly provides feedback. What we did last year to sell more flu shots didn't work, so we're going to do it different this year. So circular process. Types of goals that we see, and you can say a lot about goals. You've probably heard of SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timed. We have a lot of ways we can characterize goals, but basically the goals need to be appropriate for your business and the level of success that you're hoping to achieve. The strategy that you employ has to be one that will work. And implementation-wise, the critical part about implementation is going to come up in just a minute when we talk about market segmentation. If we don't appeal to the right customers, we're not going to be successful. So we've got to be really careful about that. So we'll get to all that. So this is all pretty straightforward, I think. Setting goals, developing strategy, you implement, evaluate, and move on. If you're getting great results, then you just keep plugging away. But remember, over time, products change, people change, consumer needs change, so you constantly got to be evaluating that and constantly factoring in what you're capable of doing, what customers want, the law changed. But great example, naloxone. Can you sell naloxone now without a prescription? Is it a little harder to do than selling a bottle of Tylenol without a prescription? And you have to jump through some hoops. Can you do it? Are you registered? Do you have a protocol in place? So if you have the resources to do that, that can now become part of your marketing. Is that unique? Is that something that would solve people's problems? Are there people out there that would like to be able to do the naloxone thing for their own purposes, but can't get it because no pharmacies in their area are doing it or have not engaged the process? So we got all this going on, and we think about it. You could go through 10 other clinical service offerings or things that pharmacists do from immunizations on down to MTM that we could evaluate using this process, this structure, and then come up with a way to communicate with the audiences that we want to try to communicate with. For what purpose? To solve people's problems and make them happy. So we can do a SWOT exercise, we can go through it. I don't think we need to do that today. I think conceptually you understand that looking at strengths and weaknesses and opportunities and threats is a critical step before you can begin to develop goals. And when you develop those goals, they have to be realistic. They have to be goals that you can achieve. So you're Athens Pharmacy, and let's say you're doing, I don't know, it's been in business about a year, is that about right? So less than a year, 7 months or so. New stores, their volume starts out pretty low. So if they said that their goal was to, by the end of 1 year, to be filling 100 prescriptions a day, would that be realistic? Probably not. You go someplace like Village or Hawthorne or Hodgson's and look at their script volumes, you probably see that to get to a level of 100 scripts a day is a pretty tough road. But to get to 25 a day, and then to grow at a rate of 5 to 10% annually would be a very realistic goal. We haven't mentioned this yet. We talked about in terms of product versus the type of orientation your business takes, marketing versus product. Your mission is part of that. You all have heard corporate mission before, I'm sure. But if you were an independent pharmacy, what might a good mission statement be? It would be very much like your market-oriented definition of your business. It might be to care for you, to improve your care, to provide healthcare services for the community efficiently, effectively, cost-effectively, something like that. So you can have all these different kinds of mission statements, but what you're really trying to do, each step of this, your SWOT analysis, your resource analysis, your setting of goals, your developing of a mission, your developing objectives or strategy, is trying to define what you do. You're simply trying to define what business you're in, what you're going to accomplish, how you're going to accomplish it. And that provides us with information about how we measure success. Implementation. Hire somebody to help you with this part. If you've got a great concept and great goals, and you need to do marketing, advertising, promotion, and so forth, it's going to go beyond public relations and sponsoring a softball team or getting in the yellow pages, get a professional to help you. Why not? It's basically free. The ad development part is free. All they're doing is going to sell you the media that you're going to be advertising in. So get professional help when it comes to the creativity side and figuring out where to be. You tell them who you want to reach. They'll tell you which media you need to use, how often, the frequency, the reach, everything. And then they'll tell you how much it's going to cost. And that's where most pharmacists say, oh, well, maybe we won't do that. Evaluation, just figuring out if stuff works or not. Does FedEx work? Does it work a hell of a lot better than the U.S. Postal Service? Yeah. Have you ever been disappointed by USPS? I have yet, knock on the nearest wood, right? I have never been disappointed by FedEx. Maybe they sent me a note that said, hey, the hurricane's going to slow us down, we'll be there 6 hours late. But I've never been disappointed. Evaluation is critical. And you've got to know what works and what doesn't. When stuff works, you keep doing it. When stuff doesn't work, you figure out why, and you adjust. So if I was Athens Pharmacy and I set a goal of 100 scripts by the end of the year, and I only got to 50, I'm going to go back through this process, and when I do my evaluations, I didn't reach my goals. I've got to change my marketing completely. That's not how it works, right? Because we already established that their marketing goals weren't realistic. So when you have realistic goals, that's when this process works the best. When you have unrealistic goals and you really attain that, it's not your marketing, it's the problem. It's your goal setting. So be careful about that, distinguishing between the two. Marketing plan, all right, so definition of marketing plan is, I don't think this is per se on the one pager, but it's a business plan, maps out a strategy. And basically it talks about a lot of things that we're gonna talk about, some of the pieces, parts are on the sheet. Got time here, okay. But the marketing plan basically is the roadmap. It embodies all of this, talks about your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, your resources, your goals, the strategies you're going to use, the implementation of those strategies, and within the strategies that includes what customers you're going to try to appeal to. And we're going to get to that here in just a second. All right, so the bottom of this slide, the 4 Ps and the 4 Is, we're going to talk in a lot of detail about that, but basically, these are the variables that we make decisions around that help us appeal to customers' needs better. So if a customer needs a bottle of pills, but they can't get to us because we're too far away, that's because our place variable hasn't been designed properly, or they can't afford to buy it because they don't have enough money or they don't have insurance. So we'll talk specifically about all of these and the role that they play. But just think of them in terms of the things that you do have control over. You have control over the price sometimes. You have control over where you sell. You have control over what products you carry in your business and what services are bundled with those products that we're talking about, pharmacy goods. And you have control over what promotion you do. So the 4 Ps of the marketing mix, these are the things you have control over and the things that you will manipulate to achieve the marketing goals that you have, which means you're going to be manipulating these variables in order to solve people's problems and make them happy. So the 4 Is, because we don't just sell a product, a bottle of pills, is it really just the bottle of pills or is it the counseling that goes with it? It's everything, it's the bundle. So services have some specific characteristics. Number 1 is you can't hold on to a service, you can't touch it. You can't touch counseling, you have to listen to it, and once it's been provided, it's gone. You can't separate it from the bottle of pills either, so it's kind of unique in that regard. I sometimes take issue with this next one about non-inventoriable. Do you have a certain number of counseling sessions in you every day? Or can you just keep going and going endlessly, all day, all night, and just keep going? I don't think so. I think at some point you're going to say, oh my gosh, another Amoxil prescription. I just can't do it. I can't do it. Go tell them how to use this. And give it to the tech and send them down to the front. And lastly, individualized. You think about it. When you start out in the morning, you're having a great day, it's good hair day, everything's going right. And you get about halfway through the day and you get into a major fight with a customer. And the rest of the day, you're just in a miserable mood. The people who saw you early in the day are going to get a totally different experience than the people who saw you late in the day. So this individualization of it, it's subject to a lot of twists and turns. So when we're dealing with services, there are some special considerations that overlay on top of the price, place, product, and promotion decisions that we make it a little more complicated with services. And we'll talk about all that with some specific examples. So marketing plans have some characteristics. These are the things that they do. They basically, though, define your business. They define where you're going to go. They define how you're going to get there. And they, why should someone shop with you rather than somewhere else? Why should they let you do MTM rather than going to CVS to get it done? And all these kinds of issues. The most important part about this marketing plan is who you decide to appeal to. That's the 4th bullet here. Identify and select target markets. Who is it we're going to try to sell a product to? So, do people who travel on Greyhound bus, do they share a lot of characteristics? Do they have a lot in common with people who like to travel first class on airlines? What's the biggest difference? They're either more frugal or they don't have as much money. One or the other. Okay? Are you going to appeal to them differently? I think so. I'm going to fly next Wednesday, and I upgraded with my miles to first class. I've gotten no less than 20 emails from Delta about all the wonderful things they're going to do. I've ridden on Greyhound buses before too, and there's just no joy in that. So when you look at the difference in the experiences, they're very, very different. If Delta tries to appeal to the Greyhound market, might not work. If the Greyhound market tries to appeal to the folks that are flying first class on Delta, it may or may not work. So we have to really carefully match our products and services with who we're trying to reach out to. And we're going to spend some time talking about that. I don't know if today, I'm not sure we'll have enough time today, but we'll get to that. But identifying and selecting who those targets are going to be. Are we going after diabetic patients? Are we going after old patients? Are we going after the pediatric market? Some combination of all of those. Or are we going to line everybody up and then slice through the middle and say we're going to go after Medicaid patients? Or line everybody up and slice through them and say we're going to focus on Blue Cross Blue Shield customers. Or we're going to focus on people who live in this geographic area. All different kinds of ways we can slice up the market to figure out who our potential customers might be. But then we have to evaluate that and see what their characteristics are, whether we can reach them, how easy it is, what it's going to cost, and all that. Establishing competitive advantage, that's where you ask somebody the following question. So I don't think there's anybody here. Somebody asked me to write a letter of recommendation recently. I think maybe it was the third year. And I said, okay, great, I'd love to. If I Googled your name, what would you hope came up? And they looked at me and was like, well, that's a really good question. I said, well, that's what I need to know from you before I can write a good letter of recommendation for you. What are you all about? And so when I ask businesses this, and I've done this about a million times, I've said to community pharmacists and chain store pharmacists alike, I said, why should someone come to your store rather than somewhere else? You know what the most common answer I get? Two things. One is because we're right on the corner and you can't get anywhere without going right past us. That's the first thing I hear. And the second thing I hear is because we're the friendliest people around. So those two things, are they going to appeal? They are. But what is your real competitive advantage? Is it price? Is it service? Is it location? Is it friendliness of farms? Is the fact that nobody else in town is doing what you're doing? And that's always a really good thing. But anyway, establishing that competitive advantage. If you don't know what your competitive advantage is, that's when you need to call your mom and tell her to come get you. So, and then you design and implement strategies, you evaluate what's worked, what isn't, and then revise and adjust your plan. So that's the marketing plan in a nutshell. What would I want you to know about marketing plan? It's a detailed process. It carefully analyzes your resources, your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, your threats, and puts into place a structure in which you're going to be successful at creating top-of-mind awareness, solving people's problems, and making them happy. All right. And this probably, about, according to what I saw, classes over at 12:05. So it leaves us 5 minutes. And this is a really good stopping point. Do you mind if we quit it for today and finish it off on Monday? Okay. Any questions on there? Any comments? All right. Well, thank you for your attention and a few chuckles. But, I'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. We're going to win tomorrow? Yeah? How, I mean, is there like odds? Like you're betting, are there any odds out there?
You're like another president.
Anybody know? Okay. All right, go Dogs. We'll see you on Monday.